Hey, and welcome to this video where we're going to be listening to the MOOG Muse against the MOOG Matriarch to maybe give you a bit of a feel which is the right one for you. I'm very lucky to have both in my studio and I figured this would be a really interesting video to make. So let's head over here and I can play you a couple of raw tones from the synths. Let's start with the Muse. This is not going to be like a let's compare the oscillators against each other type videos. There are people on YouTube that are way more patient than I am, but I'm going to show you what they sound like so you get an idea of the character and what you feel might be better for your music. This is an init patch that I've just done on the Muse, and let's just have a listen first. So one of the things that I discovered when I started using it is that the way that it's laid out, it's extremely intuitive to use. So let me try to tweak this a bit and see where we get to with this. So right now I'm not using the delay, etc. that's built into it. Let's have a listen against a kick drum and let's arpeggiate this bassy sound a bit. Okay, let's switch over now and listen to some basic tones on the Matriarch against that, and then we're going to compare them against each other a bit. Here we go. So here we go on the Matriarch. And this right now is actually just one oscillator. Let's add in a couple more. So let's do the same thing now with an arpeggiator and bring that in. Let me bring back my kick and let's listen to what this sounds like with an arpeggio. Okay, now let's try to bring in some of their built-in delays. This is kind of a nice comparison because they both do have one. I'm going to do a rough tap tempo, put this on ping pong delay. Let's listen to that same thing again, but now with delay. Okay, let's go on over to the Muse again, and let's listen to what that ARP sounds like with a bit of the onboard effects. Okay, so this hopefully gives you a bit of a first impression of yeah, how they sound. I'm going to play them a bit more just to give you a feel, but maybe to give you a bit of an idea of my impressions with these, since I've been playing them both now. As you've probably heard and probably have read online, the Matriarch has a more raw tone. Obviously, it has no presets, and you know what you see is what you get. I'm not using all the patch cable functionality, which can take it into really interesting places, but I'm just looking at it now as like something to do ARPs with or a bass. And it has a really loud, punchy, raw, very upfront quality about it that I think is really very amazing. And yeah, it's a very specific sound. It has this modular kind of old Moog modular style synth vibe, which is super cool. I find the delay when you bring it in, it does lower the level and the loudness of everything. I guess it's like a balance rather than a add the delay to the sound kind of thing. And the Muse is like a bit more balanced, more elegant. It doesn't have this rawness to the sound, but you know, it's a bit more clean and sort of wide, as you heard when I brought the delay in. It makes it really wide and really big and kind of very majestic is the word I would use. So they're very different synths, I think, even though they're both a Moog, they're both poly or paraphonic, which is actually a big difference with the Matriarch. If you're playing chords and stuff and you do shifts, it's not the same as when you're doing a fully polyphonic synth where you can obviously hold certain nodes and do chords in a very different way. So I would consider the Matriarch more something with which you can do very interesting, really upfront, brazen leads and basses and things like that, where you can do very nice detuned sounds, which I'm going to do a bit now because I'm a big fan of those, to have kind of intervals in the oscillators. And for that, I think it's unbeatable. The Matriarch, the Muse is just, yeah, it's kind of like a can-do-it-everything synth. And related to the build quality, I would say, or I'm 100% sure, the Muse is on a different level. It's definitely, let's switch on over there and show you these synths. More interesting looking at me talking about them. Yeah. Yeah, like it's definitely on a completely different level from the way that it's built. You know, some people have had concerns if these buttons maybe are like not nice, but they're super solid. All the knobs on it feel super solid. The keyboard is wonderful to play. Obviously, it's an extra octave, which for people that properly play keyboards is a big deal. The dedicated low cut is very nice to have. Like it took me all of 10 minutes to, you know, do basic synthesis with it and feel super comfortable with it. And it's beautiful to look at. It's a joy to use. It's wonderfully designed and laid out. So, you know, obviously this is twice the price now of what this is on the used market. I think when this was brand new, it was a little bit less, maybe 20% less, I think, than what they was asking for this. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but roughly. And I mean, an interesting thing now is that the prices for the Matriarch have definitely gone into deep dive mode. I've seen prices on these used go down 20-30% since the launch of the Muse. And this is one of these synths that I always wanted to have. I had a grandmother for a while and I loved it, and this was just very intriguing. I love the onboard sequencer that it has, and the arpeggiator, and I love that it's one knob per function without any kind of menu diving really that's available on it. So I think they complement each other very well. The build quality on this is good. I mean, you know, it's not a cheap feeling synth, but it's not at the same level as the Muse, to my taste. It's very well made. Nothing on it is wobbly or not nice, but it's, you know, like the size of this is like a plastic encasing. It's, you know, it's not like wood like you have here on the Muse. So all of this feels a little bit more solid, a little bit more premium, a little bit more high end on the Muse. And I was very happy that I was able to get one of these on the first batch, and it's been rock solid and it sounds beautiful. So speaking of sounds, let me play these a bit more just to give you some more sound impressions of how different they can be in their tonality. And then I reckon we'll call it a day. There's such nice ones in here. And maybe that's a good point to make. Obviously, this can go into directions where the Matriarch would make a lot of patching and may never really reach. It can do very convincing E-pianos and glassy sounds and things like that, which I don't really think is something that would be easy to coax out of the Matriarch. And yeah, by the way, none of the effects that you're hearing on these sounds are from Ableton or from my desk, my mixer board. This is all just the inbuilt effects. We're just going straight into the channels of my mixer and then straight into Prism Orpheus converters for this sound. Let's have a listen. So yeah, it has wonderful, wonderful sounds in it, no question. However, I do have to say, from my point of view, it doesn't have this punch, and like also when you make basses on and stuff, yes, it can sound very mogy and very fat, but it doesn't have this raw punch that the Matriarch can develop. So let's have a listen to the Matriarch to compare with, and then give you like a final impression of sort of the type of sounds that you can get here. I'm just going to remove the delay for a second. Like immediately you hear it, it's like so raw and so clean. It's like, it feels like the circuits are shorter in how clean, maybe they're all discrete, maybe that's why, in the way that the sound punches through to the front. I'm gonna mute my mic here a bit so you don't get any clacking around. Hugely fat and really raw, and like I said, I love doing this kind of detuned oscillator thing with it. So let's see what we can get from here. So yeah, just tone for tone, just in pure rawness and presence that it has, I think the Matriarch wins from that point of view. It's just really brutal and beautiful and very fast to work with. Yeah, just it has this amazing, just in-your-face vibe that it's amazing to have on certain sounds. But yeah, it doesn't have this elegance and this beautiful kind of, width and things that the Muse can do. So let's have a listen again to the Muse. There we go, I'm on the right synth, here we go. I mean, like, that sound is kind of in a similar ballpark. But you just cannot get it to that, really rough, really hard sound that you can get with the Matriarch. to say the character of the synths is definitely also very different. Like, yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. The Muse is very elegant, very cinematic, very wide. It can do punchy, but not on the same kind of level that the Matriarch can do. And yeah, where the Matriarch truly shines is in this super raw, very upfront, detuned leads and super punchy basses and kind of bigger than life modular drone type stuff. For that, it's ridiculously good. I think it really depends on what you want to do with it. If you want to have one main synth that can do everything, and that definitely you can coax super loud, fat, punchy basses out of with a bit of processing maybe, then you can't go wrong with the Muse, because it can do everything. Like if I had to pick one synth, you know, it would be between the Muse and the Waldorf Iridium that I have here, because they're both capable of doing any kind of synthesis that you can basically wish for. One fully digital, one analog with digital components, full presets, incredible depth. So yeah, those would be the two synths. And I think the Matriarch, if you really know clearly that you want to have fat leads and detuned stuff and super punchy aggressive basses, then yeah, then the Matriarch is really incredible, and I'd have to really think long and hard. I think the only other synth that I can compare it with that has this raw directness and presence would be the Vermona Performer that I have here. That just like you press a note and it just cuts through the speakers and your kick has trouble keeping up with it. Those two synths really excel at that. I think the other one would be the MFB Synth Pro that's sitting in the corner over there. That's also one of these synths that just punchy like nobody's business. Yes, so having said that, that is what I can share with you about these synths. If you want to see more specific stuff, I'm happy to make it. This was just a spontaneous idea to do this on a Saturday afternoon. And yeah, let me know in the comments, and I'm happy to record you some stuff. Yeah, that's it for me today. I hope that you guys are having a wonderful time in the studio and yeah, getting some sounds in, some tracks done, hopefully. And I'll see you on the next video. Have a good one. Bye-bye.